Hey guys, I'm Chef Kevin Gillespie. I've been in the restaurant business for over 20 years now, and I'm the author of Pure Pork Awesomeness. And today, I want to share with you one of my favorite cooking tips for working with meat, especially pork. Now, the secret to getting super juicy, tender pork isn't always just in the cooking, but in fact in something called resting that takes place after the cooking is completely done. Let's get started with our pork tenderloin. When you get the tenderloin, there's a couple of things that you want to look for. First is this fat around the outside. Tenderloin is a notoriously very lean cut, and that's great, it's very healthy, but we want to keep as much of this fat intact when we cook it as possible because fat is going to be flavored. The other thing is this nice deep red color. That's the color that your pork should be. You know, we've thought for a long time that pork was the other white meat, but in truth, this nice rosy color is a sign of really delicious pork. Seasoning. We have to do this right or nothing's going to come out the right way. When we're seasoning, we want to make sure that we get an even amount of salt. We're going to let it sit for just a second and we're going to see some moisture come off of this. Now, it may look like a lot of salt to you when you look at this visually, but you have to remember this. When we put it in the pan, we're going to knock a lot of that seasoning off. So we always have to go a little bit further than we think because it's easier for us to make up for that afterward. We have our cast iron pan right now over about medium-high heat. We want our heat pretty hot to get a nice golden brown sear on this. First, we need to take some paper toweling and just blot the exterior of this off. Any water that has collected on the outside of this is going to prevent us from getting a nice golden brown color on the outside of it. Until that water goes away, well, it's just going to steam. As you can see that we pulled some of that water from the surface. As long as there's water on the outside of this, it won't turn golden brown. That's our pork tenderloin. Now, we also want to add a little bit of oil to our pan. Now, this is a grapeseed cooking oil. Any sort of non-flavored high heat cooking oil. When you go to the store, you'll see on there and it'll say, you know, ideal for low heat or medium heat or high heat. Grapeseed, safflower, sunflower, canola even, those are really good for searing. And if you want to make sure that it's really coated, you can kind of pick it up and swirl it around here, make sure it covers every surface. So, into the pan, laying it away from ourselves. Now, the secret of good cooks, especially people who are cooking meat, is leaving it alone. It's really, really tempting to want to get in here and mess with it and move it and do stuff to it, but it's not going to help. We need to let it sear. We need to let it build its color. It's not going to overcook. We're going to give it 3, maybe 4 minutes even before we turn it to the next side. This is how we know it's ready. If you look in here, you can start to see a little bit of the golden brown collecting around the rim, around the outside. That's usually a pretty good cue that this thing is ready to flip over. That's the color that you're looking for when you're searing it. Nice, deep, golden brown, really even all the way across this. That's perfect. It might take a couple seconds longer on this side because we've cooled the temperature in the pan down. Let's cut the heat off in our pan. Let's take our tenderloin out over here. Looks beautiful. That's the color that we're looking for. This nice golden exterior everywhere. And remember that there's something called carryover cooking. Just because we took it out of this pan does not mean that this tenderloin is done cooking. In fact, it's still quite hot. So we need this to finish its cooking process in a really gentle manner. So we'll take our foil and just kind of loosely tint it over the top. We don't want to smash it down on there. We don't need it to steam, but we do want it to stay warm while we let this sit. We're going to come back in about 10 minutes or so and slice this thing open, and you guys will see what all that patience pays off for. Let's take our foil off. All right. Yeah, so it's nice and warm still, but it's not blazing hot, and that's what we want. If it was still super hot, all the juices would run everywhere. And then when I slice this, anytime I'm slicing pork tenderloin, I like to slice it kind of at an angle rather than just straight up and down. It helps to break up the muscle fibers, just makes it even more tender, but it also just really looks nice. So let's open this up and take a look at it here. Look at that. Super nice, juicy. I'm gonna pull a piece out here so you can see it. Like, that's what we're looking for. It's rosy on the interior. You can see all of that juice collected right on the surface. All of that natural pork flavor is still right inside here, exactly where we want it. Allowing it to sit for a few extra minutes before we sliced it means that we kept all of the juices that we want inside this piece of meat. I promise, if you take a few more minutes, 5, 10 extra minutes after cooking it and you let it rest before slicing it, you'll have a perfect cut every single time.